whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. The place to be is right here with me. It is Random Topic Thursdays, ladies and gentlemen. The Thursday before Christmas, December 22nd, 2022. And we are proud to have on as our special guest and hostess, co-host to Random Topic Thursdays, Brother Shawn James. And you can check out his books, such as The Woman Crisis, which is available now on Amazon and other platforms where sold. On tonight's broadcast, we discuss the following. Arctic blast pushing through America right before Christmas. Romeo Miller versus Master P. Are kids today entitled, or do parents owe their children the world? We'll get Shawn's thoughts. Congress passes a spending bill and Title 42 remains intact only due to a court order from the Supreme Court, and rest in power to Thom Bell and Franco Harris. All this and more on channel gboot2786, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Before we begin, we also would like to do some advertisement. We also, for our sponsors, we need you to check out Tony'sCreoleBlends.com. Ladies and gentlemen, try it on every dish. And also, if you get our songs, Video Soul, and Gotta Get On Up, which is available on iTunes, Apple, and Amazon, we're sold. We would appreciate if you do that. We're going to come back in a second. Of course, we always like to get on down, get on up before we get on down, as I should say, rather. So let me go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and let us get on up with that always before we get started. And be mindful also, if it's Christmas time, you can get The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Kindle. That is a good your relatives this Christmas. It's a great holiday gift. So please check that out, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Right now, wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up
And move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up.
Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up.
Feel the groove, get on the floor.
Oh, that was cold. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, Happy everything, Happy New Year, Happy Honda Days. Whatever you celebrate, whatever you're buying, I hope it's blessed and doing safe as we all get thousands of dollars in debt this next couple of weeks. And we'll pay for it in January. And we want to thank our special guest. I'm going to just bring him in, Brother Shawn James. Shawn, Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Have you finished all your shopping?
I finished it over a month ago.
Oh, okay. You're a smart man. Well, that's best thing to do is to do it early. So, or buy it online and send it where it needs to go. That's the good where it starts, huh, Shawn?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead, man, and get started. And you see me with the mid cap on because it's about to be cold tonight. We're talking a hard freeze here in the deep south. So let's get started with that. An Arctic blast is pushing through America tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Now, maybe in your neck of the woods, Shawn, it may not be a big deal because I know in New York it's not uncommon that it's cold. But in Louisiana and the South, doesn't happen as often. Or if it gets cold, it's a dry cold, there's no snow. So it's always a big deal when this happens because the roads and certain parishes have to close after. But I want to go to this news article from WWL locally this week where city leaders are urging people to have a plan in place as freezing temperatures head towards southeast Louisiana. We're going to run that right quick.
All right.
JP leaders say preparation for the cold is key. Now live with more. Alyssa.
Good evening. That's right. In just a few days, we've had tornadoes and now we're seeing freezing temperatures. Those are two completely different weather events that South Louisiana just isn't used to. Jefferson Parish leaders declared a state of emergency as they're working to keep people safe from that cold while still recovering from those tornadoes.
within the span of a week and a half, we're having two hazards hit us that we as a people, as a community, are just not used to.
Last week, it was tornadoes. This week, it's freezing temperatures. Jefferson Parish is still working to get families whose homes were destroyed from the tornadoes into temporary housing. Tarping homes with Team Rubicon has helped, but as the temperature drops, the calls have increased.
Families with minor damage or sometimes major damage thought they could ride out a short period in that damaged home. And that was one thing when it was dry and 60-degree weather.
They say South Louisiana is just not equipped to handle these temperatures. While we're prepared for hurricanes or flooding, Sheriff Joe Lopinto says what they're not prepared for is cold.
The sheriff's office will still be out there ready to respond, but getting to you will be a slower process if the rain comes through. If it's just cold weather, it shouldn't affect us at all.
Public Works says they have 4 trucks loaded with sand and salt machines available to use on the 3 highest bridges. Water main breaks may occur. Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang says the community has to work together. While some may think these temperatures are not that cold, Shang wants the parish to get through this like they did the tornadoes without deaths or major injuries.
We're not overreacting, and we're not, getting up here for the sake of just doing this. We know that there are perils ahead that people are not aware of. Because we're not used to thinking like this.
Jefferson Parish leaders say if you have a home that is raised off the ground, you should be running your faucets. Those homes are more vulnerable. And now if you have a home that is on a concrete slab on the ground, there's no need to run the faucets. You should be okay. Reporting live in Jefferson Parish, Alyssa Curtis, Eyewitness News.
Alyssa, thank you so much.
That was WWL-TV. Now I want to go to WDSU because one of the big problems we have, and we got to think about this, Shawn, is the most vulnerable during these times, which is our homeless population. And several warming centers, I don't know what's going on in New York, but maybe you can tell us, but they've had to open up some emergency centers here in New Orleans during this time. So I'm going to play a little bit of the mayor's statement earlier.
Feel like the 20s in the coming days, and city officials want to make sure that residents are both safe and prepared for the worst.
Only take hours for us to reach freezing conditions.
The cold weather is about to get colder, and while it may only last a few days, Mayor LaToya Cantrell, along with other city officials, announcing their freeze plan in hopes of keeping residents safe and warm.
It's going to be extremely cold. Feels like temperatures in the teens here on the South Shore and single digits on the North Shore. Our area is not really designed for this type of temperature.
People, plants, pets, and pipes are the 4 Ps Mayor Cantrell says are key factors in keeping the citizens of New Orleans safe. She mentioned New Orleans hasn't experienced temperatures like these since 2017, which is why the plan will include 3 overnight warming centers for the unhoused and anyone who may be in need.
We will have at Joe Brown, as well as Rosenwald, and in the cutoff on the West Bank. Warming centers will open, this is very important, tomorrow evening, Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We do not want any of our people showing up prior to. We will be prepared to welcome anyone who shows up again, 6 p.m. Thursday evening.
Utility companies like Entergy New Orleans aren't expecting a repeat of February 2021, when New Orleans experienced rolling blackouts after an ice storm that took place in Texas. President and CEO of Entergy New Orleans says reducing energy usage can help prevent rolling blackouts, and no resident will have to worry about their services being disconnected during these cold temperatures.
Entergy New Orleans will be suspending disconnects and we're suspending all planned outages now through Monday, January 2nd.
Now, once again, all 3 warming centers will open tomorrow at 6 p.m. and will close on Monday at 6 p.m. And the only pet-friendly location will be the Joe Brown location. Now, for more information on that, you can head on over to our website at WDSU.com. But for now, reporting in New Orleans, Courtney Williams, WDSU News.
All right. So, Sean, I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods up in New York, but what's the weather like there right now?
Well, it's a lot of rain here in New York right now, and it was just very cold today. But I'm just used to that kind of weather here in New York. Usually, if you have a good apartment, you'll have good heat and stuff to deal with this type of stuff because we have this type of winter all the time, and that's just how life goes here in New York. So people are not really used to that kind of thing in other parts of the country where it's warm all the time. So it's just something that happens. But I have to wonder what happened to all that global warming everybody talked about.
It's on a pause right now. It's taking a break to old man winter. Well, you know, Christmas is around the corner, so before Santa Claus comes, the Polar Express arrives. So that's, I guess, what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But you know, something I'm interested in, and I talk with people is that, especially since it's Christmas time, you know, if there's some clothes or anything we could probably give to the needy, the homeless, old clothes. I'm those that are can donate clothes in, and this is for my viewers. Know some of my viewers are not in the New Orleans area. I acknowledge that, but if there's a Salvation Army, a thrift store, uh, those are places where you can actually get clothes at Catholic charities and so forth. I believe they take those good bills, so that might be something to consider. Yeah. You know, being that you're in New York, Sean, you know they're going to be obviously with the homeless people will have a place to stay with Eric Adams's state with Eric Adams's new laws and new enforcement policy and arresting the homeless population out there. Sadly,
Well,
yeah,
sadly, the place that they're going to be is either a Rikers Island or a place like a mental hospital, and that's not really a good place for them, especially the Rikers Island. It's just not safe. It's a place where people are wilding out. So it's not shelter. It's a place where people are going to be in chaos for months on end.
yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Something I want to talk about this past couple of days. Also, what's happened this week in news. I want to get your thoughts on this, Sean. Earlier this week, we have several trials that was going on. One of the trials was, of course, Harvey Weinstein. He was convicted on 3 out of 7 charges in the Los Angeles courtroom. I'm sure you've heard about that. But
Yeah, I
also,
heard.
Aaron Dean, who shot and killed Tatiana Jefferson, was convicted on manslaughter last week, and subsequently on yesterday, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. And I know you and I talked about this last week. We have to look at the sentencing. The maximum sentencing on a manslaughter charge would have been 20 years in prison. I want to ask you, and I'm going to play a clip from the sentencing uh, hearing from courtesy of CBS News. What's your thoughts on all
Okay.
Killed in her Fort Worth, Texas area home. His sister addressed Dean after his sentencing.
You went into an American citizen's home because their doors were open, and you shot a black woman to death in front of an 8-year-old child. You spent the last 3 years rehearsing your how you spend the rest of your life reliving this moment and discovering all the terrible decisions that you have made during this decision.
Dean arrived at Tatiana Jefferson's house in October 2019, responding to a call about an open front door after a neighbor made a report to a non-emergency police line. She was shot through her bedroom window. Prosecutors argued there was no evidence that Dean saw a gun in Jefferson's hand before shooting.
Okay, so now I'm going to play from Harvey Weinstein's trial this clip, and I'm going to get your take, Shawn, on what happened out in LA.
But first, we have some breaking news to report. A Los Angeles jury has found the former movie producer Harvey Weinstein guilty in his rape and sexual assault trial. Prosecutors say Weinstein used his power in Hollywood to both lure women and assault them. The 70-year-old could face more than 60 years in prison. He's already serving a 23-year sentence in New York for similar charges. He has denied the allegations against him. For more on this, I'm joined by Rachel Fazet. She is co-founder and managing partner of the law firm ZFZ LLP. So, Rachel, what surprised you or didn't in this verdict?
I think the jury really took their time and they went through each allegation really very thoroughly, as there is not a unanimous verdict on 3 of the women's accounts, and he was only found guilty of 1 of the women's accounts. There were 3 charges associated with Jane Doe that he was found guilty of, but the other 3 women, all of them were hung, and the hung amounts are not the same. One is 8-4, one is 10-2. So I think they were really back in the jury room looking through each and every detail and discussing each and every count that Harvey Weinstein was charged with here.
And what's the next stage? What's the timeline on being sentenced now that the verdict is in?
The next stage is actually tomorrow. They have to come back and decide whether there's some aggravating factors that might raise the sentencing range as it relates to the 3 charges of which he was found guilty.
And what does that mean, aggregating factors?
I think that there is some allegations as it relates to force, power. Aggravating factors are really just sentence enhancements. And here he is now facing 18 to 24 years based on the verdict that just came in.
And Rachel, how does this differ from the previous case in New York? And now what happens? Weinstein's already serving 23 years. So does this get tacked on? How does that math get worked out?
So 18 years, 24 years, 60 years. At this point, he still has to serve his time in New York. So he's got to finish that 23-year sentence if it's not appealed. And then once he finishes out in New York serving his sentence there, they will move him to a prison facility in California. So really what he has at this point is a life sentence. And everything else just kind of is gravy as compared to that. But New York.
Okay. So basically, Harvey Weinstein is getting a life sentence with those charges. Shawn, what are your thoughts on what happened with with Aaron Dean and Tatiana Jefferson's trial, and now with Weinstein being convicted?
Well, on the Aaron Dean situation, I see it as one of those situations where justice really wasn't served, because your Aaron Dean, while they got a conviction for manslaughter, is getting a sentence that basically allows him to basically be gone from in a couple of years and then be able to possibly go back to his life. And I don't really think the punishment fit the crime as related to this police officer. After learning from Professor Black Truth about how this man was psychologically evaluated and found not to be fit to be an officer. And again, this man was a danger, and everybody knew about, but because he had white skin, he was allowed to have a badge and then go out here and lead to the death of Tatiana Jefferson. And again, I believe his punishment should have been a bit more severe to send a message that if you are a rogue police officer and you go out here and you do harm to people, you will be given the full extent of the law, because you're held to a higher standard. So I really don't believe that there was any real justice served really effectively. And it was just them going through the motions as related to things, because what this man did was egregious, because he didn't even identify himself as a police officer. He just went into this woman's home and basically just took this woman's life in an egregious fashion. And he didn't really get a punishment, I believe, that he deserved. Now, on the flip side, your Harvey Weinstein basically is getting what he deserved after years of being a sexual predator, going out here and using his title and position to go out here and take advantage of women. And now he's being punished for all the sexual deviancy and sex crimes he participated in over the years. And he's basically going to wind up going to prison for the rest of his life. And he may wind up dying in New York before he even gets to California to serve out that conviction for that sex crime. And we're never going to hear from Harvey Weinstein ever again. His studio is basically over at this point. He's basically
he's out of Weinstein Studios. I think has been bought out. It was bought out a few years ago, and I think Lionsgate owns a piece of it now, a couple of other studios. But when his stuff was going down, he was forced to step down, and his brother, who's Harvey Weinstein's brother? I'm trying to think of. His brother, I believe, had taken over, and Bob Weinstein. That's it. But he had to. He was forced essentially to step down as well. I mean, because remember they created Dimension Films and Miramax, and what it seems to me, what it seems to me, Shawn, Weinstein pissed off the wrong people.
Yeah.
Because one of the women that accused him. Now, I want you to look at this media bias. They said he was convicted of rape, which is true. He's found guilty. They said he was found guilty of rape, but they neglected to mention the news report, and this is what they do, that he was acquitted, or at least there was no verdict that was given out of one of the charges, because he was acquitted on 3 of them, and the other charges were not able to come up with a decision. So he got a hung jury, and it's unlikely they would try and charge him again. But the one that they could not convict him on, oddly enough, was Gavin Newsom's wife, the governor of California, who accused him of sexual assault. So, and then when they describe it about how he used his power to get women, that is in and of itself a slippery slope, because most men who are wealthy, most men who are celebrities, they don't even have to use their fame to get women. Women will come to them automatically. Now, this is not me defending Harvey Weinstein, but you understand, Shawn, especially with celebrities, it's not uncommon for women to throw themselves at men, right? So
I know.
whether they're married or not, and sometimes they will use that to advance their career. Remember, in New York, where you're from, he was not convicted on one of the charges. I believe it was because when they listened to Annabella Sciorra's testimony, it was complete garbage. But he pissed off somebody to start this, because they had been knowing about Weinstein before. But let me ask you, do you think he is, as an attorney, there may be some appealable issues? I know he actually was granted an appeal earlier this year to be heard out in New York. Do you think he'll likely appeal this again, and do you feel he's going to get the treatment like Bill Cosby did?
I think he's going to appeal again, and he may possibly win on appeal, because there may be some technical issues he may be able to get off on, but it's a long shot at that. And when it comes down to your Harvey Weinstein, he's made a lot of enemies, so he may wind up trying to appeal, but they may wind up just rejecting his appeal, because people see Harvey Weinstein as a sexual predator, and they want to get this sexual predator off the streets so that he will never be able to participate in exploiting women again.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I'll just say this on an Aaron Dean thing. I talked about this earlier this week. I do get the notion that some justice is better than no justice. I can see why the sentence was what it was, because they got a manslaughter conviction. So it's not and the jury was the one that decided on this punishment when they argued it. Do I think it could have been more severe? But yeah, I think he had the cops entered on property they believe there's an emergency, yes, I know as a lawyer, the procedure cops, if they believe there are exigent circumstances, they can go on to property without a warrant if they believe imminent danger or the loss of life is to be heard. However, this was a non-emergency call that was made. It was a wellness check that the neighbor had called in which to check on Miss Jefferson, and it was their thinking allegedly that a burglary would have been in progress, but they didn't announce. His mistake was he didn't announce himself. He had his gun drawn already. Had they announced themselves at the door as police, perhaps this could have been avoided. Yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, family. Other topic I want to talk about speaking of conviction, this Tuesday, Ronald Green, who was the black man that was killed by police officers up in Union Parish, Louisiana, which is out in Monroe. Well, there were some arrests that were made. You remember we have talked about this before in the past.
Yeah.
I wanted to go over it with you, and I wanted you to talk about these arrests right quick. 5 Louisiana officers have been indicted in a deadly force arrest of Ronald Green. Of course, I don't want to show that video again. It happened out in 2019, but this is part of the NBC Nightly News clip that was shown because we had 5 officers who were prosecuted, but this is part of it. So, warning, it is graphic, ladies and gentlemen, and you might be upset by some of what you will see. Yeah.
We want your voice pulled to the side. Every report.
Yes.
So sad.
Very sad. Because we're gonna have a victim. I don't feel like it's justice. I feel like they should have got charged with murder. You know, I mean, a great leader told me we can't treat extraordinary things like they normal because it's not normal. When we fight, we win. So we gotta keep on fighting.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
No, don't do that. Don't download NBC's app. With regards to this arrest that was made, and let me just get everybody to know who the arrest, regarding the arrest, who has been arrested as of December of 2022. The 5 officers that were 5 state troopers and a Union Parish Sheriff's deputy who were charged with crimes related to Green's death. Master Trooper Corey York was charged with negligent homicide and 10 counts of malfeasance in office, while other officers were charged with malfeasance and obstruction of justice. Basically, when the crimes happened, they did their best to try and cover it up. They did something in a way, and of course, if they lied, and I believe they did, they lied in some way, shape, or form to keep their fellow officers out of trouble. I didn't know they were going to put this man up there. Yes. Which is what they did because they told the officers that they told family. They told, I got to mute Shawn for a second. That computer is blowing loud. They told Ronald Green's family that he died in a car accident, but that was not the case. And of course, there was controversy. We talked about whether the governor knew about the accident. There was a legislative and investigative inquiry into what he knew, and the Justice Department reviewed the agency. I believe they're still reviewing it, if I'm not mistaken. But That's Ronald Green's mother, Mona Hardin. That's Ronald Green. That's Governor Edwards. We're going to go ahead talk about it. I want Shawn's thoughts on it. Shawn, of course, we got to wait and see what happens with a verdict, but your reaction to these arrests that have been made.
Well, these arrests really show us that there are a lot of rogue police officers out there who go out here and sadly brutalize mostly foundational Black Americans. And this whole case shows us how corrupt some in law enforcement are. And sadly, this man lost his life. And hopefully we can find some way to get him some justice, because what happened here was extremely egregious. In this case, this young man lost his life. And it looks like there was efforts to try to cover it up. And that's the sad part about it, but that's sadly what these rogue police officers like to do. They like to brutalize Black people, then cover it up to keep their world smooth so they can go on with their careers. And hopefully law enforcement will go out here and we'll finally get some justice. I'm hoping in this case, because even though these officers are allegedly rogue officers, they're still innocent until proven guilty, and they need to have their day in court, so we can get to the justice that needs to be meted out.
Yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We live and heavy in here. Now, next thing I want to talk about is this government funding bill and Title 42 that was set to expire. Now, Title 40 is set to expire this week. However, the Supreme Court kept it intact. They issued an order to keep it intact, which is what they do. This is courtesy of the Wall Street Journal. It was reported that the whole government spending. There's always some type of thing that's either from the Republicans or the Democrats. Most of the time, the Republicans have certain things regarding spending. And a bipartisan bill was approved before Christmas break of $1.65 trillion in spending. After breaking, there was an impasse related to immigration policy and racism with more than a dozen amendments. The bipartisan bill was approved in a 68 to 29 vote. And the legislation will now go to the House, where it's expected to pass before heading to President Biden's desk. They state that the omnibus legislation includes $858 billion in military spending, $45 billion more than the White House had requested, and about 10% from $782 billion the prior year. It also includes $772.5 billion in non-defense discretionary spending, and up almost 6% from $730 billion the previous year. Overall discretionary works up to about $1.65 trillion compared to $1.5 trillion the prior fiscal year. Now, this is interesting, so I want you to hear this. They included some changes to the 1887 Electoral Count Act that would make it harder to block the certification of a presidential election, as well as revisions to the United States retirement system. And it also widens a ban on TikTok on government devices. So there are some changes to your 401k that are coming soon. There are also obviously changes to challenging a presidential election. Now, we know why that was passed. Are we not, Shawn? Are we aware of what was the reason?
Well, the reason was the Trump presidency and the challenges he made in the 2020 election.
Well, the Wall Street Journal says it right here.
Yeah.
So they had to add this stuff into it. Now, with Title 42, one who cares says it's -1 here. Where are you at, one who cares? Now, let's talk about Title 42 for a minute. Title 42, I'm going to have to mute Shawn for a second because that fan's distracting. Now, what they're talking about regarding Title 42 is that Title 42 was set to expire earlier this week, and the Supreme Court was asked, the Biden administration had asked the Supreme Court to deny GOP's bid to prolong Title 42 expulsion, calling policy obsolete. This was because what was going on, as you know, during COVID-19 in 2020, the Trump administration enacted Title 42 that allowed the U.S. borders to rapidly expel thousands of migrants back to Mexico or their home country without allowing them to seek asylum on the grounds that they could spread COVID-19. But then the Center for Disease Control and Prevention made a public health determination earlier this spring that Title 42 was no longer needed to reduce coronavirus outbreaks. So what's happened is this crisis on the border because people are trying to come in. The Supreme Court earlier on Wednesday, because of a lower court ruling that declared the measure unlawful, Chief Justice John Roberts agreed to pause the determination on administrative grounds to give the Supreme Court time to decide the request from the red states. So basically, all the red states from Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, everywhere you see here, that you see right here highlighted, have asked them to enforce this and to keep fighting to keep Title 42 in place. All right? So we're going to go a clip. This is a clip from CBS. Where are you,
The Trump administration has put in place a rule during the pandemic that expelled migrants without allowing them to seek asylum. CBS's Omar Villafranca is in El Paso, where the Texas National Guard has now arrived.
A dramatic scene on Texas's U.S.-Mexico border. Before sunrise, Texas National Guard troops arrived to put a razor wire fence alongside the banks of the Rio Grande. Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending 400 more National Guard troops to the El Paso border in an attempt to block the flow of migrants into the U.S.
They're getting on the bullhorn every once in a while and telling people, you can't be here. You being here on this side is illegal. You need to move on. And they're telling them to go to different points of entry. But what we found out, when they're going to other points of entry, Customs and Border Patrol is not letting anybody in.
This was one of the border crossings a week ago. This is what it looks like tonight. A line of Humvees, armed soldiers, and Texas state troopers. Thousands of migrants have crossed this area in the last few days. Despite the uncertainty of ending Title 42, the city is putting plans in motion to house as many as 10,000 migrants, even considering opening their convention center and schools not currently in use. Meanwhile, in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, 27-year-old Yanisi Martinez and her 3 children wait to cross the border. They have been traveling for 3 months from Venezuela. They would give us the opportunity to come in, she says, only to put up a fence instead. Her 3-year-old daughter is sick in her arms.
¿Qué quieres decir a President Biden?
She hopes to get to her brother in North Carolina.
I asked her what does she want to tell President Biden, and she said that she just wants a chance to get inside.
Shelters here in El Paso will be packed again tonight with hundreds of migrants. The White House has asked the Supreme Court that if they're going to let Title 42 expire, at least wait until after Christmas. Nora?
Tough situation there, Omar Villafranca. Thank you so much.
Shawn, your thoughts on this Title 42 that's being challenged in the Supreme Court, and also this spending package. By the way, did you happen to see the Ukrainian President Zelensky's speech to Congress on yesterday?
Yeah, I saw that farce.
Yeah, you want to play a clip of it? If you want to talk about it, let's just play one clip. Regarding, I'm not going to play the whole thing. Yeah. Why can't I just get the YouTube version of this stuff?
Ukraine. I'm sure in the future, dear representatives of diaspora, present in this chamber and spread across the country, dear journalists. It's a great honor for me to be at the US Congress and speak to you and all Americans. Against
Looks like he came right out of
against all odds
Things
and doom and gloom
episode as a villain.
scenarios, Ukraine didn't fall. Ukraine is alive and kicking.
Listen, I don't ever recall. Just curious, have you ever seen a foreign prime minister or foreign official president address the Hall of Congress like this?
No.
I've never had anything like this. I've never seen anything like it. But he was asking the United States essentially to help the Ukraine. Essentially, he's asking for money. And what did you think, Shawn, of this? But let's talk about the spending in Title 42. But can we bring it? Can we talk about this first?
What, this Zelensky and his begging?
Yeah.
And how pathetic he looked? Because this is really one of the most pathetic things I've seen. He's just begging the U.S. for money and talking about how he needs the U.S.'s help. And again, it just comes across as really pathetic because you have a dude sitting up here begging the U.S. to finance his war instead of standing up like a man. And again, if you're a man, you go out here and you know how to fight for yourself. But this guy's looking for the U.S. to go out here and do everything because Joker Joe wants him to take care of all of his business because he can't take care of his business himself. And the whole thing is, this is a real insult to foundational Black Americans because Black people, we're the ones being pushed further to the back of the line as related to tangibles. This guy can come in and address Congress and get money from them to fund them billions of dollars. But all those Black people who voted for Joker Joe in 2020, they're told they can't get anything. And they went out here and voted for this president, but they can't get anything from this president. But non-citizens, they can get $60 billion, but we can't get reparations. We can't even get money for our own schools and libraries. But this guy can just come in, put on a sad face, and he gets all the sympathy. But all those Black people who went to the polls, they just feel like complete idiots at this point because this is what happens when you go out here and vote straight down the ticket without getting anything tangible for your vote.
Yeah. And then when we talk about Title 42,
yeah,
and you top that off with the spending, what did you think? You know, and to be clear, I don't think these guys even read the bills, especially with the Christmas break before they pass. That's how, if you remember 1913, that's actually how the Federal Reserve was created. They passed the bill during the Christmas holiday and nobody was reading it.
Our Congress is a joke. I mean, basically, they just spend money for themselves and they don't really respect the American people. So they just allow anything to go through. And what's really sad about this whole Title 42 situation is they don't want to admit that Donald Trump was basically right about our border. Our border is a complete disaster. And they don't want to admit that Title 42 was an actual good policy that set a boundary for all these other countries as related to coming into our country. Because if Americans came into Mexico and illegally, they would be arrested. But these people, they want to come into the U.S. and they want to come into the U.S. by trespassing, not coming in legally through proper channels. What they want to do is come in illegally, and we're supposed to go out here and roll out the red carpet instead of showing them the door, which is the most tactful thing that they could do. But they want us to go out here and show them the entry into the U.S. But we're being polite by just deporting them because we could easily arrest them because what they're doing is a crime, which is trespassing. But the whole thing is we have the U.S. not willing to swallow their pride and admit that they are wrong, which is an American thing. Americans never want to admit that they're wrong. And they don't want to admit that this Trump policy actually was a good policy, that it was keeping people from wanting to come into the U.S. illegally, and it was going out here making things a little easier for Americans as related to the economy, because many of those illegals take jobs from foundational Black Americans, and they don't really want to admit that they're really up a creek without a paddle, and they really are trying to find a way to weasel their way out of this with this Title 42. They know that this is a good policy, but the whole thing is they don't want to admit it's a good policy because the man who wrote it was somebody that they don't like, and they don't want to admit, hey, this policy works, this policy is helping us, and it's keeping us from having chaos like we have here in New York with a lot of these migrants, and here with your Eric Adams, who says he's overwhelmed. Nobody on the blue side wants to admit, hey, we messed up on this one, and we have a nightmare right now because Greg Abbott looks like he's building that same wall that Donald Trump was looking to build, and you have the Democrats still just trying to sit there and say, oh, we need to find a way to do this. It's like, no, you want to do the exact same thing Donald Trump was doing, because when you have out of control immigration, it leads to crime. It leads to a lot of people in your country. It spreads lots of disease and germs because these people are not vetted, and it leads to a really bad quality of life for everyone. But they don't want to give Donald Trump any credit for a policy that actually was helping America. And now they're stuck up in a rock and a hard place trying to figure out a way to weasel out of this situation that they basically created because they don't want to admit that they were wrong about a policy.
Yeah. All right, Shawn. I think, you hit the nail on the head. The reason why this had to be in place, presidents have the authority, and it's already in law, where they can protect the borders, protect the sovereignty of the nation. That is a fundamental right for every nation, is its sovereignty. And when you have people that illegally enter in the country, regardless of the circumstances, and they don't do it legally, there is going to be a problem, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have, and especially during a pandemic, I thought it certainly can lead to an issue. It certainly can be an issue. So I listened to this. I'm thinking about it more and more. Is this law a bad thing? I don't think it was a bad thing. I think under the circumstances, I see why it was created. But uh, you know, and here's the thing: our Congress, our congressional leaders, they're not enforcing the laws. They're not enforcing the laws that they swore and took an oath to do so, because it doesn't fit with their agenda. And sadly, that's something we got going on here in America. We have people that don't want to do the jobs that they're sworn to do. And that's why when they fail to do that, you all need to kick them out. Vote them, stop voting them back in.
Yep, you got to stop voting them in. But the pathetic states of America, they voted all the same people back in to get the same results. But that's the way it is in the pathetic states of America.
Yeah. It is about conformability. That is correct. That's right. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. I only got two other things, Shawn, I like to talk about. Uh, this thing that happened with Romeo and Lil Romeo and his father, Master P. It's gotten sad. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, Lil Romeo went on his Instagram page and complained about the fact that he has not received any monies for a couple of things. He's not received any money for the rap snacks that Master P created. One thing. The other thing is that Romeo snapped at his father because he claims he's not been communicating with them, especially as you know, Master P lost his and Romeo, they lost their daughter and sister respectively. Uh, Passed away due to a drug overdose, sadly. And now there is a beef that has gone between Romeo and his father. And Master P actually had gone on IG, something he doesn't want to do, didn't want to do, to address his son. And I want you to listen to this carefully.
I got to get out of character and put this on the internet, which I don't
Essentially
want
called
to
his
do.
dad dead.
But I try to call my son. People say, "Why you call?" I did. He don't call back. It's been months. So my question is to Romeo, like, if you've been in the business for long as you've been in, and you're a 30-something-year-old man, and if you've been around me, watching me hustle and do my thing, why you not where you want to be at? Because that means you're not listening. That means you want to do your own thing. You done brought your own circle of people, but you can't get mad at me because I really thought this was about, the only reason I entertained this on social media, I thought it was about the DJ Twitch post I put up. And I thought it was about my daughter's death. I thought you was grieving. Mental illness is real. But I want to tell all the people out there that just don't understand how bad my heart hurt. Romeo lost a sister, but I lost a daughter. And for any parent that's going through this, because I know death, it brings people closer together or it tear them apart. But I come from nothing, y'all. And I could go back. I'm cool with it. I won't be angry at God. I won't be upset. I won't go get mad and be disrespectful to my parents and none of that stuff. I just say, Dad, thank you for putting me in this world, now to get out and hustle and go do my thing. But that's the problem. When you take kids and you kind of like protect them from the real struggle and the pain, and you don't allow them to deal with their own consequences. And then when they grow older, you never gave me nothing. At 30-something, man, people could go back and look, you've been shining for a long time, son. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call me or come to the house and holler at me. The saddest thing about this is what the people want to see. They want to see destruction. So if you destroy me, what are you going to do for the rest of the family? Are you going to take care? You told me on the post that you put up, you go take care of people in the community. That's what you're supposed to do when you come from that. You go help people. I'm just not helping ungrateful people. I'm not an ATM machine. People can't just say they love me when I give them something. I'm tired of that, y'all. And any other parents, you could be rich or poor at a smaller level. You might give your kid $10, but if that's all you got, I've always fell off, got back up, hustled, did my thing. I'm tired of all these blog sites and all this stuff, poking and having fun. Y'all can, but I'm about to go back to work and do what I got to do. I love my family. My door is always open for my son. To be honest, because we shouldn't have to go through this. And if I'm wrong, forgive me. I'm apologizing to you if I'm wrong. I'm still a work in progress. I come from nothing. Everybody go through trauma. I'm dealing with this right now, but I love going out into the community and helping people. That's the way I heal.
Now, I'm going to exit out this, and I just want to show you what's going on from Romeo's side. What Master P was talking about with, of course, DJ Twitch boss last week committed suicide, and he put out an IG post just mourning his passing, and Lil Romeo had something to say about it because, he brought up his sister, and also the fact that Master P doesn't even talk to him. But Romeo claims he's broke and all his money was used to pay Master P's taxes. So he's claiming he's currently broke and that all of the money from his music career was used to pay his father. The Low Limit Records founder has responded. Of course, Romeo, who goes by his government name now, Romeo Miller, hit up Instagram with a post regarding his mental health. In it, he called out his father, Master P, for a myriad of things, sparking up a lengthy public back and forth between the two on social media. Romeo revealed many personal feelings he holds towards Master P as it pertains to their behind-the-scenes family life, as well as his current financial situation. This has been seen by 2.1 million viewers. His loan, I'm not going to read all of this, but this is what he put up. All right? And then Master P responded, especially trying to tell Romeo to grow up and stop trying to get people to feel sorry for you. And even said, told his dad, he said, you aren't the man who you paint to be. But Shawn, and this is going back and forth over money. If you know anything about Master P, I know a lot about Master P because he's from New Orleans. When he grew up in the Calliope projects. He came from nothing. How he brought his family, and I'm not just talking about his sons and his brothers like Silk the Shocker and C Murder and so forth, but he helped his family and friends. When I tell you, because I know people who grew up with him, and knew of people who how he gave them trucks, how he made them part of the security team. Also, that's his cousins that he helped. Remember, he had a cousin named Big Swole, who was a wrestler.
Yeah.
For WCW, big dude. He was a lineman. Remember, they put WCW. This is when they were going out of business, but they brought Master P part of the when they did that New World Order, the Wolfpack versus the Rednecks and so forth with Kurt Hennig.
I remember that. I watched all that.
Yeah, Master P was part of that. But what are your thoughts about this? Unfortunately, this is an unfortunate situation.
I'm really saddened to hear that Romeo is feuding with his father, and I really think that he doesn't really appreciate all the work that his father had done for him over the course of his life. I don't really think that Romeo really has taken that, panoramic perspective as related to his father. That was something I had to do with my own father before he passed away. And when I look at Romeo's situation, it really mirrors my own situation with my own father. Because I remember when I lost my job in 2008, my father was worried about me not having any money and being able to take care of myself. And that made me want to go out here and put in that work to try to find that job, to get my life together in some way, shape, or form. Because one of the things I wanted to do was earn my father's respect. And I look at this boy, and he's really not showing respect for his father because he gave him all the tools to be able to go out here and have a life of his own. I mean, I look at Romeo, he had a great rap career, and it comes to a point where you have to start managing your own money. I mean, he's in his 30s, and at that point, when I was like 25, 26, I wanted to start managing my own money, getting my own paper together. You're supposed to be getting your own stuff together so that you don't rely on your parents. It's supposed to be you giving your parents, not your parents giving you. And I think that your Romeo basically is a spoiled boy who doesn't really appreciate all his father has done for him. He's sitting there saying, oh, he had to pay my taxes. No, you're supposed to have your own separate label at this point. You're supposed to be having your own stuff in your own name. You're supposed to be getting together and making your own master tapes. I mean, Master P gave you all the tools for building your own business, but instead of you building your own business, you're staying on him. And then when things don't work out, you want to blame him. I really cannot say that your Master P did anything wrong here because he was a hustler who went out here big time guy. He's building all sorts of businesses. I mean, he got the Master P, the Rap Snacks. He's got the all these other things. I mean, he's even got grocery items. I mean, he's built a wealth base, but the whole thing is the boy doesn't know how to build his own wealth. And he's like, he learned how to be rich, but he doesn't understand that his father was developing skills for wealth with him. And he doesn't understand how to build his own markets and market share. And he's talking about, oh, he didn't give me money. You're supposed to get the money for college. I mean, you're supposed to be saving a lot of this money that you're getting for your music and using it to build your platform. And again, he just took his life for granted. And I see that happening with a lot of young people out here. They take their lives for granted. They take their whole existence for granted because everything is given to them. And they don't understand what it is to go out here and struggle. And they don't that's why they don't really appreciate anything. I mean, that was one of the things that I learned when I lost my job. Is about, you appreciate your parents helping you out to a point, but you've got to go out here and start doing the grinding. You've got to start going out here, putting in that work, because it's not about them at that point. There's supposed to be a point where you're supposed to be carrying your own weight. And that's something that Romeo don't understand, because he's used to just being this big time celebrity, not understanding part of being a celebrity is a business. And Master P was setting him up, but he just didn't appreciate the things that he was getting, because he didn't understand that this is not about entertaining people. This is about building your business, building your brand, maintaining your brand, getting stuff in your own name, making sure that you own the rights to certain things. These are all things Master P was doing, but sadly his son wasn't a master, and now he's whining and complaining, oh, he didn't do anything for you. But when I look at him, I mean, it really reminds me of my own relationship with my father. I mean, he set me up for a lot of things, but I can't blame him for anything, because a lot of stuff didn't go right. A lot of that was my own fault, because sometimes I was a bit green, and sometimes I ran into job situations that things didn't go the way I expected. But I can't get mad at him. I can't get mad at anybody like that. No, I got to take my ownership for what I did. And I got to also take ownership for stuff that didn't go right and try to work towards making it right. And Master P said that himself. There's a point where you got to start taking ownership for yourself. And that's a lesson Romeo really has not learned. And he's just acting, again, really dysfunctional, embarrassing his father, making his family look bad, and showing people that he's not somebody who is ready for the world of business and not ready for the world of men, because a guy who understands the world of men understands that he's got to carry and conduct himself in a way that he takes responsibility for his mistakes, and he's got to take ownership for his life as related to things.
Yeah. I'm sorry that Romeo is appears that he's having some financial issues. And it's funny when you see that, because Romeo, I think, just shot a film for BT Plus, a Christmas movie that he's in. It's funny when you have someone who's been obviously working in Hollywood, people that work there, come up broke. And you wouldn't think, especially being who the person that he is, who his father is, he would have issues with money. But at some point, this is the man, if you're trying to build a business and an empire from nothing, your father, he's the perfect example, a textbook definition of that. And Romeo should have learned. I would love to learn from Master P about how he built his music empire, how he did this and that. He hustled. He worked hard. He put his name out there, which is what you got to do. Is Shawn there, or is he frozen? Okay. So I had to see that, but that's the condition, unfortunately. Do you think parents, well, let me ask you this last question, Shawn, on that. Do you think parents owe their children the world, or do you think kids have to go out there themselves and get it?
Parents don't owe you the world. They can only give you the life skills that will help you get things. And the whole thing is, they can give you the tools to start building towards things, because that's what my father and my brother gave me. I mean, they can teach you the male life skills on how to be able to talk during an interview. They can teach you how to start your own business. They can give you the tools. They don't owe you anything. No, a lot of that is you got to go out here and get it yourself. I mean, with my own thing as related to independent publishing, I never got anything from my father or my brother or anybody in my family. No, all of that was me. I had to go out here and put my own money towards things, and I had to go out here and make those efforts to put in that work. So I come from, nobody's going to give me anything. If I want something, I got to go out here and get it myself. I mean, I look at my parents can't give me everything. They can't go out here and give me anything. I mean, I got to go and get it. If I want it, I got to go out here and get it. I mean, everything I got, I had to go out here and get for myself. I mean, as related to publishing and even trying to go out here and get some jobs, I had to go out here and put the effort in. I mean, yes, people will give me a lead for certain jobs, but I had to go here and put that effort in. And that's something many kids don't understand. Your parents don't give you anything except maybe life skills and survival skills. They give you the basics as related to the foundation. But once you get that foundation, everything from there is on you. And everything from there is about you going out here and getting what you want and making sure that you get the goals that you want to meet. Because the only person who can give you exactly what you want is you. And anything that you want out here, you're going to have to go out here and put that work in for.
Yeah. All right. Sadly, I got to report the death of two giants out of Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. This is our final topic. Rest in power to Thom Bell and Franco Harris. Now, earlier on yesterday, the Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris, 1970 Pittsburgh Steelers, away through circumstances unknown at this point. Coming up on the 5th anniversary of one of the wildest plays ever in NFL history, and I'm talking about the Immaculate Reception that has been seen worldwide. It put the Pittsburgh Steelers on the map. Everybody remembers this play, Shawn. I don't want an NFL copyright strike, but you see that this play off the deflection, this was coined the Immaculate Reception. And that is what is catapulted the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty. And Harris, actually, interesting enough, was set to have his number retired on Christmas Eve to commemorate the 50th anniversary, although the 50th anniversary was actually Friday or Saturday. But it was going to be a rematch between the Raiders and Steelers. And his number was going to be retired. He would have been the first offensive player to have a number retired. But sadly, he will not be present due to his death. He was scheduled on Friday to meet with his 1972 teammates. And unfortunately, that is not the case. No, there has been no details as to what caused his death, although it was confirmed by his son, Dick Harris, on yesterday. His father passed away overnight. The other thing I wanted to talk about, sadly, is the death of another giant out of Pennsylvania, this time out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia Soul. If you've heard songs such as La La Means I Love You, Rubber Band Man, Backstabbers, the Mighty Three of Leon, Kenny Gamble, and Thom Bell, they were the sound of Philadelphia. Thom Bell is the gentleman in the middle. On the left is Leon Huff. On the right is Kenny Gamble. All three members of the Songwriting Hall of Fame. It was reported that Mr. Bell passed away earlier today, although no cause of death had been revealed. He was 79 years old. Earlier today, his songwriting partners and friends issued a statement regarding to his death. Kenny Gamble wrote in a statement that was obtained by Rolling Stone. Tommy and I have been friends for over 60 years. When we first met, we decided to start writing songs together and formed the duo Kenny and Tommy. And then I bought our band, the Romeos. He was a great talent and my dear friend. Rest in peace, buddy. Huff added, Thom Bell was my favorite musician, arranger, and music producer of all time. It was my esteemed honor and pleasure to work with him creatively and as a business partner. Rest in peace. Of course, some of their one of the classics I like. I love all the stylistic songs, but he wrote all of those with Linda Creed. Songs like uh, "You Make Me Feel Brand New," "Stoned in Love with You." Uh, what's the other one? "People Make the World Go Round," which is my favorite. A lot of stylistics, but an architect of Philly soul. I can't play obviously the music, guys. You know what would happen if I did, but you can see it right there. Uh, you know, it said he wrote the Rubber Band Man song, Shawn, as a tribute to his son who was being bullied. The Rubber Band Man was a song made famous by the Spinners, you know. He
Yeah.
also was a producer on Elton John's album, Mama Can't Buy, and songs like Mama Can't Buy You Love. So just talent in the music world, a talent in the football world in Franco Harris. And Shawn, just your thoughts about their passings.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of both of these men. And they made great contributions to the sport and music. And I'm really sorry to hear that they are no longer with us. I mean, it was sad to hear that this player won't be able to celebrate his jersey being his number being retired, and he won't be able to be with his friends again. So that was really sad to hear. I mean, this was a legendary NFL player. I don't really know sports that well, but it's sad that he won't have a chance to celebrate that memory. And again, it just shows how you need to really appreciate the people in your life when they are in your life. And you have to make that time for those people in your life while you're there, because they may not be here the next day. They may not be here next week. So you have to cherish and appreciate those people while they're alive right now. And you have to go out here and show those people love when they're alive. Now, I've listened to the Rubber Band Man from the Spinners. I've been listening to a lot of Spinners as I've been working on stories, and it's just sad to hear that this guy who basically wrote that legendary song for one of the great R&B bands, the Spinners, is not here with us. And it's sad to hear that he's gone, but his great contributions to music will live on. And hopefully people will appreciate the great contributions he gave to music and pick up and listen to some of his songs, because I've been listening to Spinner's music, and again, a lot of love in that music, a lot of heart in that music. I mean, very positive music, and Rubber Band Man was a very positive song. And it's just sad that the man who created that song is no longer with us. But it again shows that we really have to appreciate the people in our lives when they're alive, and we have to express our appreciation and gratitude for them while they're still here with us. Because what your life is very short. You're here one day, you're gone the next, and you have to go out here and appreciate those people in your life while they're here right now.
Yeah. Most definitely couldn't say it even better. Give people their flowers while they're alive, and apparently we're trying to give them to. Sadly, Franco was getting his before he passed, and it'll be interesting what happens at the football game. Obviously, how they're going to tribute and honor him. Unfortunately, and interesting enough, around the same time this year, around this time last year, Shawn, John Madden died, who was also part of that Immaculate Reception. He was the quarterback coach for the Oakland Raiders when it took place. So, two giants in the football world from there, all within a year of each other. Books on Amazon.com. You can support me, ladies and gentlemen, by buying the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Williams Cosby Genesis Facebook page, and go to on Kindle, purchase at the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby. You know, I, for some reason, have still had issues with the way Amazon is having an issue trying to print my book, despite my numerous attempts, and that's been an issue. I'm trying to get that squared away. But go to northeastcreoleblends.com to support me and some others and purchase some Creole seasoning. You may not get it for Christmas, but you could get it for New Year's. Go to northeastcreoleblends.com. Also, check out our video soul and how to get that up on iTunes. Brother Shawn, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Do you have anything you want to talk about, like what your live stream will be about on Friday?
Well, my live stream for Friday night will be about overcoming female bullies. It's going to be a follow-up to the classic video I did about female bullies. So I'm going to go further in depth on the subject of how both men and women can overcome female bullies on Friday night's live stream. And if you guys want to pick up some of my books for holiday gifts, you may do so by going over to Amazon.com. My books are great positive Black fiction. I have a lot of great books that are great reads for young kids out here. A lot of people have bought them for their kids and enjoyed them. And I also have books that help out men, like The Woman Crisis and The Man Crisis. And again, all of those books are available on Amazon.com, and they all make great gifts for the members of your family.
All right. Thank you, Shawn. Well, we're going to get out of here, Shawn. I got to apologize to the family because I told you I have a song ready for you. And I had worked on the recording and worked with the producer. He has not produced my track just yet. He's been busy with stuff, but I will have that available for you all to check out, upload on iTunes, and wait to hear back from him. So, Shawn, anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it. I mean, that's all I have to say for tonight. So,
yes, and please also, if you feel like since the channel is not monetized, donate to any of those tickers, any of those apps at the ticker at the bottom, whether it be Venmo or Zelle, or PayPal, I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and get on up, Shawn, but you have a very blessed Christmas. I do want to talk with you if we can after the music ends. If you won't mind staying on just for a few minutes.
All right.
It'll be brief. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's been another edition of Gavin Richard Presents, the hottest live stream on YouTube. Shout out to Computer Robots. Gary is from Atlanta. Danielle, Derek, everybody. Happy holidays. Vulcan 20504. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming in. Merry Christmas. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and we've gotten on down. Now it's time to get on up.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Cause on the dance floor, show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the.
Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you're breathing, you're achieving. So if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the floor, baby. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
It's gonna snow today. It's gonna get cold in New Orleans. It's not even gonna snow. Ain't that a bitch? Cold for nothing.